The USS Avenger wasn't a grand lady of the fleet. She was a CVE, a combustible, vulnerable, expendable escort carrier, a floating shoebox of flight deck bolted to a merchant hull. In the vastness of the Pacific, she felt like a cork in a bathtub. Her air group flew aging Wildcats, planes that felt like flying sewing machines compared to the Japanese Zeros. And they were losing pilots. Not in dramatic dogfights, but in the flat, gray, unforgiving geometry of carrier landings. Would come in too fast, too slow, catch a wire wrong, and slew into the catwalk or vanish into the foam. The accident reports called it pilot error. The crew called it the shakes. Ensign Paul Riggs, landing signal officer, stood on his tiny platform with his colored paddles, guiding each bird home. He saw the fear in their eyes as they wobbled in, heard the ragged throttle corrections over the radio. He was presiding over a mechanical harvest, and it was breaking him. Then, one sweltering afternoon, waiting for the recovery, he heard it. A thin, sweet, reeling sound cutting through the engine whine and wind. He looked down to the starboard catwalk. Seaman Eli Stone, a gangly kid from Tennessee who worked in the laundry, was sitting on a coil of rope, playing a violin. Stone. Not a song Riggs knew. It was something wild and old, a mountain tune, all swoops and quick dancing notes. It was utterly, bizarrely out of place. It was the most human sound Riggs had heard in months. "What in blazes are you doing?" The air boss yelled over the bullhorn. Eli stopped, looking terrified. "Just passing the time, Chief." Riggs expected him to be ordered below, the violin confiscated. But the air boss, a man with eyes permanently narrowed from squinting at horizons, just stared. He looked at the tense pilots in their ready room, at the grim deck crew, and back at the boy with the fiddle. "Don't get in the way," he grunted, and walked off. The recovery began. The first Wildcat came in, a nervous, jittering approach. Riggs swung his paddles, his own stomach tight. And then, underneath the roar, he heard it again. Eli, tucked safely back by his rope coil, was playing. Not loud, but steady. The pilot's Wildcat, which had been chopping its throttle in ragged bursts, suddenly smoothed out. The wings leveled. It was as if the plane was listening, finding a rhythm outside of its own fear. It caught the third wire, a perfect engagement. Riggs glanced at the catwalk. Eli's eyes were closed, his body swaying with his bow. He wasn't playing for the pilots. He was playing for the ship, for the steel, the wire, the wind. The next plane came in. Eli's tune changed, slowed, became a long, melancholic drawl. The pilot, perhaps hearing a ghost of home in the strings, seemed to exhale. His descent was a gentle curve, not a controlled crash. Another perfect trap. One by one, they came home. And Eli Stone, the laundry boy, played them down. A jig for a nervous kid from Boston. A slow blues for a weary Texan. He didn't know them. He just played the weather he felt in their approach, turning their tremors into tempo. The last bird, a Wildcat with a shaky engine, was the worst. It was low, slow, and drifting right. Riggs waved it off, heart in his throat. It went around. On the second approach, the pilot was rattled, his voice high on the radio. Eli began to play. Not a tune, but a single sustained, piercingly sweet note. It held, pure and clear, a sonic beacon in the chaos. The pilot stopped talking. The Wildcat steadied. It floated onto the deck like a feather, catching the first wire. Silence, broken only by the engine spooling down. Later, Riggs found Eli wiping down his fiddle with a soft cloth. "How did you know what to play?" Eli shrugged, a faint smile on his face. "Didn't, sir. Back home, my grandpappy said a fiddle don't play songs. It plays feelings. The deck was scared today. I just played. Something unscared. From then on, No order was ever given. But every recovery, Eli Stone would appear on the catwalk with his violin. The pilots started calling for him on the radio before they even saw the ship. Is the Fiddler on deck? He wasn't on the manifest. He wasn't part of the air group. But in the deadly calculus of the Pacific, the USS Avenger had discovered a new variable. Their kill ratio didn't improve, but their landing rate did. They weren't just a carrier bringing planes home. They were a ship that sang them home, one trembling, brave note at a time. Played by a boy whose weapon was a memory of Appalachian hills, stronger than any fear of the sea.